Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about the new Beauty Bay palette. This one is called Wanderscape. And before we get started, I just want to give you all a little warning, I guess. I was pretty disappointed in this palette for some fairly frivolous reasons. So I'm probably going to be going on about that a little bit. I apologize if that gets a little annoying. But with that warning out of the way, let's go ahead and dive right in. Okay, so first let's talk about the basics of the palette. This is a 20 shade palette, and it does have quite a few shimmers in it as well. 12 of them actually. So there's a little bit more shimmers than there are mattes, which fits with the theme that they're going with in their marketing. In the marketing, they're kind of talking about it as a Fairycore kind of palette. I don't know, with a name like Wanderscape, I don't know, that name just comes off as very let's just throw some words together. I feel if we're going for Fairycore, we could have come up with a more fitting name. Again, I'm getting a little nitpicky, I apologize. So I'm going to start off by showing you the look that I did with this palette, and I'm going to go ahead and talk you through it. So what I started with was, and I'm going to have to reference my handy dandy little sheet with shade names on it because Beauty Bay has completely changed their eyeshadow palette packaging and I could not hate it more. First of all, it's difficult to open. These plastic palettes and their closures are a pain in the butt for me. So it's just hard to open, first of all. Second of all, the pans are smaller, noticeably smaller than other Beauty Bay palettes that I have. Bummer. And third of all, I don't get the shade names on my palette, which to me is a big chunk of the experience. Not half, but maybe it's a third of the experience of a palette and its color story and its theme. I like to have those there. So I am just really bummed by this. Also, the little sleeve that went over it, I didn't keep it, but the sleeve that goes over it has some pretty artwork on it. Much like their palettes have had pretty artwork on them in the past. But of course, it's just a plain old nothing because it's a plastic palette, so we don't get gorgeous artwork anymore. Okay, so my little rant out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and talk to you about that look that I did. So I did start with this blue shade right there. It's called Twilight. And I put that sort of on the inner half of my eyelid. I was expecting it from the way it looked in the pan to be a little lighter, but on the eye it ended up being pretty dark and pretty gray. There wasn't really any blue to it, which was kind of a bummer. I wasn't expecting that. And it ended up going okay in the look. I sort of improvised and changed some things up, but it wasn't my favorite. I was not a fan of that shade. Then on the outer third of my eye, I went in with this purple. I really hate this thing. The purple is called Juniper. And I put that on the outer third of my eye and just sort of blended that in as well because I wanted a nice purple. And then once I had those mattes down, and then I used this pink, and that one is called Fairylight. I used that on the bottom lash line because I wanted some color down there since it was supposed to be a nice springy fay kind of a look. Then on the lid, I used this really dark purple. I figured since I was getting gray, I would lean into it and go a little bit more dark fay. That one is called Forgotten. And it did turn out to be a pretty cool purple grayish kind of a shade. I'm really loving it on the lid. And then I used this really bright shade up here called Charmed. It looks like kind of a light turquoise in the pan, and that's pretty much how it turned out on the eye. And I put that in the first third and then brought it down into the inner corner, and it really lightened up the gray that had been in there. So I like how it went eventually. And then on my bottom lash line, to also give it some sparkle, I went in with this very light pink. That one's called Moonchant. And that one ended up being like a really light rose gold. So it's almost less a light pink and more like a pink gold, pretty kind of a mixture there. So that was the look that I did. Moving on to the quality of the palette. I will say the mattes left me really, really disappointed this year, which was a bummer. Beauty Bay has historically had really good mattes, so I was hoping, even though the packaging changed, that things would still be good. And I don't know, maybe it was just me being biased because of the package change, but I felt like they were so hard to blend and work with. This purple in particular, like I had put it on my eye and then I was trying to blend it in and it just like would not blend for me. It just wanted to keep this really kind of jaggedy line because I had been planning to blend it, so I wasn't really precise with my application. So I was really bummed by that the quality of the mattes seems to have gone downhill. The quality of the shimmers remains pretty much unchanged, so that was at least a bonus. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and swatch the shimmers for you also, just so you can kind of get an idea of what these look like out of the palette. I am not going to grab that shade name little overlay every time just because I find it so irritating. So we're just going to go through and do them, and you can see where it is, and then you can judge in your own palette which shade it is. So let's start up here in the top corner. This one is probably the lightest gold in the palette. Yeah, and that's like a nice light gold. Like I said, I don't think that the shimmers have changed much. This has really good coverage. It turned out really pretty. Okay, I'm going to go in with this next gold one. This one is just a little bit darker looking than the other. And yeah, that's how it swatches out, just kind of a darker gold. I do like that this palette has a lot of like shimmers and less of the duo and multi-chromes. I feel like ever since those have come on the makeup scene, we get a lot of them in palettes, and sometimes I want just a regular old shimmer. Let's go ahead with this pink. This looks like almost a in between gold and pink, kind of a pink. Yeah, it is like a dark rose gold. Maybe leaning a little bit more pink than gold, but not quite a true pink. Okay, and then we'll go down here to this shade. I don't even know how this one is going to turn out. It's one of those I feel like you can't tell. Oh, wow. That's pretty. So this is like a purple to goldy green duochrome. That's really pretty because the purple like goes down so well. And then I think the duochrominess of it stands out better because of how much that purple stands out. That's pretty. Okay, let's go up here with this shade that I used earlier. I really like this one. Yeah, it's not coming out as strong as the others. I think it's not as smooth of a shimmer, but it is a super pretty color. You can see it's like that almost turquoise. Okay, now we're going to go in with this regular pink. This is just like an in-between with the dark and the very light one. Oh, that actually turned out much lighter in the swatch than I thought it was going to. I thought that was going to be a darker pink. But no, that's like a true ballet kind of pink almost. Super pretty. Okay, let's move on to this one that I used earlier. This one is that pretty kind of half rose gold, but very light. Okay, that one isn't swatching very well now either. It's almost a little dry. It's the lighter shades that are almost a little dry in this palette. And this one is looking just a little duochromy maybe. Maybe it's a pink to gold shift, and that's why I can't decide if it's rose gold or not. Okay, this one down here kind of looks like a gold also, but maybe a little bit more brown. Oh, that's cool. This is like almost a bronzy metallic kind of a color. And this one has good coverage. You can really see it stand out. It's almost like an antique gold is maybe the color that I would call that. It's pretty. Okay, let's go for this one up here. This one looks like it's gonna be pretty dark. Let's see how that swatches. Okay, yeah, it is. I don't really know what to call that. It's like a brown, but there's maybe a little sheen of something else in it. Maybe even a blue. But because it's part of that brown, it's looking like neutral blue, if that's a color. Let's go in with this purple one. And this one I really liked a lot when I used it earlier. Wow. So it's very similar to the other purple one that we looked at not too long ago. It doesn't look similar in the pan at all, but it's a fairly similar color once it's on the skin. This one doesn't have that like greenish duochrome that that one does. This one just has a little bit of a different color shimmer in it. Really pretty. I think this one is one of my favorites, which works out since I used it in my look. And lastly, this is like a brown. We'll see if it actually swatches that way. Yeah, it is. Oh, wow. That's a pretty color. I like sparkly browns. I don't know why I have such an affinity for them, but it's just a nice color. It makes me think of like old houses. It's gorgeous. All right, so those are the swatches for Beauty Bay's Wanderscape. And honestly, they turned out pretty well. I really like the shimmers in this palette. And since there are 12 of them, if you wanted to pretend that this was an all shimmer palette and just not use the mattes, I still think it's a pretty good deal, especially given how much Beauty Bay charges for their palettes, which, let's be honest, really is not very much. But I will say again that I was pretty disappointed by the mattes that I used. That was such a bummer with Beauty Bay's usually such good quality. So I'm going to cross my fingers that next palette is a little bit better in terms of quality. But I'm afraid we are probably stuck with this boring beige plastic packaging for quite a while. I'm genuinely so disappointed by this. I have a huge collection of Beauty Bay palettes. I have been buying them for years and years and years, and I am so bummed to see that they have moved over to this. I know I'm going on too much about it, but I can't get over it. It's so bad. I will say that all in all, I did enjoy the color story. I feel like it was pretty well themed to their fae thing they were going for with these colors. I don't know if I would have gone with the name Wanderscape again, but the color story is pretty cohesive and yet also fairly versatile, and it fits in with the theme. So I can't complain about that. So those are my thoughts on the Beauty Bay Wanderscape palette. Let me know what you are thinking down in the comments below. Do you like the packaging? Does the new packaging not matter to you at all? Am I just crazy? Probably yes. Go ahead and tell me your thoughts because I would love to hear from you. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day.